Hey everybody, Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon coming at you today with a few malicious compliance stories. First one, don't question the rules and do what you say? Okay, Karen, let's jump right in. The nursing home I work in has gone through multiple members of management. Every time we get a new director of nursing, DON, we have a mandatory meeting where he or she will introduce themselves and the new rules they put into place. One of the ghosts of DON's past was one I'll call Karen. She had the haircut, the attitude, and the shrill voice. The first rule Karen set into place was that one CNA had to be on the hall at all times. Absolutely no exceptions. We were seriously understaffed, so it wasn't always possible to always be on the hall. Being one of the CNAs who has to work the hall alone a lot because there are no people who will come in to help, I, of course, tried to explain what the flaw was in her rule. She did that "I'm the dominant one" head tilt and interrupted me to say, "You don't need to question my rules." The next rule Karen set was that there would be absolutely no cell phone usage in the facility. All cell phones had to be left in our vehicles or in a basket next to the time clock. No exceptions. This ticked off even the members of the administration. The scheduler would text people to ask if they will come in to work. The nurses use cell phones to communicate with the director and DON when they aren't in the facility. People grumbled, but she yelled, "These are the rules. If you don't like it, you can find another job. CNAs are a dime a dozen." That is exactly what some of the CNAs did. We lost 4 more people right after that meeting, making us even more understaffed. This ticked me off because one of them was the best partner I ever had. So here comes my petty revenge and malicious compliance. The first day I had to work alone after that meeting, I kept her words in mind. One CNA on the hall at all times. No exceptions. One of our VIP residents hit the call light within 10 minutes of my shift, wanting some brownies from the kitchen. The kitchen is off the hall, so I go straight to Karen's office, which luckily was on my hall. "Karen, I'm the only aide here, and Miss Carr wants some brownies from the kitchen." "Why are you telling me? Go get them for her." "You said there has to be one CNA on the hall at all times. I can't leave the hall to get them." "Then get another CNA to go get them for you." "You said we can't use cell phones, so I have no way to contact another aide." She gets up from her desk in a huff and gets the brownies. When she returns, she shoves the brownies in my hands and says, "Don't bother me for petty mess again." Okay, even more compliance. Because she was stubborn, this malicious compliance went on for a few hours, so I'll shorten it into a list. No residents were harmed during the malicious compliance. Keep in mind that this all happened within one shift. I work on a very demanding hall with nearly 40 people on it. Before you say that there shouldn't be one CNA to 40 people, trust me, I know. 3 residents wanted washcloths or towels, but I didn't have any, so I couldn't go get them one. 5 more residents wanted snacks from the kitchen, but I was the only CNA and couldn't get them any. 2 residents wanted showers, which I could have done, but I wasn't allowed to leave the hall to find an aide to watch mine while I did it. The trash stunk like holy hell, but I couldn't leave the hall to take it out, so it stunk up the hallway and Karen's office. I may have moved the trash bin closer to her door. I couldn't pass out ice water because I couldn't leave the hall to get the ice cart. Supper trays came out and I couldn't leave the hall to go get it. I'll never forget the look on Karen's face when I knocked on the door and told her that getting the residents fed shouldn't count as a petty mess, so I needed her to go get the trays. Luckily, Karen was staying late and this didn't last longer than this one day. The residents kept complaining and finally, Ms. Red, our nosiest resident who crashed the mandatory meeting, led a lot of the complaining residents to Karen's office. One of those residents was Ms. Carr. She yelled at Karen so loud because she couldn't get her ice that people started peeking around the corner to see what was going on. Karen tried her hardest to defuse the situation and explain to Miss VIP why the rule was in place. Ms. Carr was having none of it. Karen didn't know that Ms. Carr used to be a nurse, and that's why the director of the facility made her a VIP. After her tongue lashing, Karen came up to me, seething with anger. Through her gritted teeth, she said, "You can leave the hall as long as it pertains to patient care." She slammed her office door so hard that something inside of it fell. I heard her say crap on the other side of the door after the crash. Karen didn't last much longer after this because the facility had a lot of demanding residents and an even more demanding director. I don't know what was happening on the administration side, but I hear horror stories all the times about it. It's really scary to think that these kinds of Karens are actually responsible for the health and well-being for so many people in a care facility. I hope the CNAs continue to stand up for what they believe is right. On to our next story. Paid drive time for zero work. A couple of years ago, we had a minor virus outbreak in our branch office. The email came in at 7:30 a.m. I hopped in a company car and drove down ASAP. I got in the parking lot by 8:30, started working on the issue, and had the affected workstation offline, packaged up in the trunk of my car, and a new workstation in place of where the virus had come from. After all my testing, it was pretty much locked down by 1 p.m. I love the 1-hour drive to and from that office. It's 2 hours of paid mess around time, honestly. Have a cigarette, listen to the radio, not dealing with pointless nonsense from my superiors. Just 2 hours of paid woosah. Taking that full hour to get back to the office, I get back by 2 p.m., throw the workstation on my desk. 2 hours left in the day, I'm gonna coast on through. But then, my boss starts shouting at me. "OP, what are you doing? Get off your lazy butt, get in a dang car, and get to branch office now. They have a severe outbreak." I am somewhat thrown back. The issue was resolved when I was there. What happened? I look over her shoulder and noticed she hadn't opened her email that day. It was 2:30 p.m. and she just now opened her email for the first time. She just now saw that we had a virus in our branch office. She just now thought it was the appropriate time to act as the IT manager and read her emails at 2:30 p.m. Okay, another 2 hours of drive time? Getting me overtime? 4 hours of total silence throughout the day without people yelling at me? Sure, just make sure you don't read the follow-up email that's literally one line above the one you just yelled at me for. Got overtime pay because traffic backed up that afternoon in an area that's already an hour and a half away from my house. Took 3 additional hours to get home. When I came to the office the following day, my boss apologized. Said I should have told her it was fixed. I told her I thought it was something I missed. Nah, I just didn't want to really do any work that afternoon, and I got paid overtime in the process of not working. Pretty marvelous if you ask me. Have you ever noticed that your daily commute can feel so much different depending on whether you really like your job or not? Like on your way into work, you're either excited for your day or you're dreading every single minute of it. But the drive home after work is always the same. It's that sense of relief, unless you're going home to something you're not looking forward to. On to our last story. Pay rent on time? No problem. So this isn't as big as some of the ones I've read. It's a little petty, but it made me smile. Hope you enjoy. Back in 2014, I was renting a small studio apartment from a private renter. I made decent money as a shift supervisor for a cosmetic tattooing salon and got into the habit of paying my landlord about 3 to 4 days early because of when my paydays fell. So even though in my rental contract it stated that rent is due by 5 p.m. on the 1st, I generally paid on the last payday of the month so that I didn't have to worry about it. So after about a year, I ended up switching banks. Because of this, they put a 24-hour hold on my first paycheck. My company was not big enough for direct deposit, So I just shot a quick text to my landlord saying that I would be paying on time instead of early this month. Again, since the rental contract stated that rent was due the 1st by 5 p.m., I really didn't see this being an issue. I was wrong. My landlord proceeded to send me a scathing text that basically said if I didn't pay on time, that I would be evicted immediately and calling me all sorts of nasty things. Needless to say, I was pissed. I never said I would be late, had never been late, just wouldn't be dropping it off early. So from that day forward, I always paid at 4:55 p.m. Yes, I would wait right outside his door in my car until a few minutes before 5 on the 1st. I also started looking for a new place to rent and ended up upgrading to a small 1-bedroom about 6 months later. It sounds to me like the landlord was counting on that money for something, that he'd gotten so used to it coming in early that he completely forgot that it wasn't even due until the 1st. I'm glad OP got out of that situation, but it sounds like they had a lot of fun with their malicious compliance up until that time. I want to thank all 3 OPs for posting their story to the Malicious Compliance subreddit. You can visit them at the links in the description below. Please go there and give them an upvote. Once again, this is Rob from Karma Comment Chameleon saying thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share it with your friends, and we'll see you in the next one.